Right, the purpose of this video is to give you a brief outline of your NCEA Level 3 Psychology exam so you know what the format will be and what to expect. Alright, apologies for background noise as my son Tyker tries to help me do this. So you have this is what the cover might look like, and it is worth 3 credits. You have actually, that should say 3 hours to do this, like all of your exams. You're going to answer 3 or 4 questions. There's no guarantee. It'll probably be 4, but that changes year to year, the format slightly. You're going to address one issue in psychology, and you're going to be given a resource packet to respond to, and I've entered you for the digital exams, so this will be done digitally. All right. Now let's quickly figure out the language. Issues in psychological practice. So psychological practice means the stuff that psychologists do. Applied psychology. This is either research, so the issues as they relate to psychological studies, or how they apply to actual fields of psychology like clinical forensic education, which we've studied in the year. The issues are things that might complicate the psychological process, right? They're things that might complicate psychological practice. They might complicate research. They might complicate the fields. These are studying animals and kids, gender bias, cultural bias. Those are the 3 that we've reviewed, focusing mainly on animals and kids because they're the most straightforward. Here is the full list of possible issues that they recommend. Okay, and remember, we'll see a past paper in a moment, but you don't need to study all of these. Knowing more of them is not necessarily better because you're only going to write about one. So that's why I suggest choose one of these to become an expert in, and I recommend children and animals. So the 4 key questions you need to be ready to address are these. Now, just a reminder, there's no guarantee that they're going to look exactly like this. Okay, the questions and the phrasing will be changed slightly. But essentially, you're going to need to be able to summarize the issue in 100 or 200 words. All right. How is it shown in studies and theories? So in order to get merit or excellence, you must be showing your knowledge of relevant studies and theories that personify, demonstrate the issue. You need to be able to provide your thoughts on the issue, ideally drawing on this research, the studies and the theories and the real life examples, the real world examples to support it. And then finally talk about, well, how can we address the issue? So these 4 questions are what needs to guide your research. You have to draw on your content knowledge in order to do well in the exam. All right, so let's just look at a past paper example. So first of all, you're going to have some sort of resource booklet that looks like this. All right, now the resource booklet is designed to target each of the different issues. So of course, girls and boys are equal. You can probably see this is relating to gender bias. Okay, we have here looking at inequities in health, resource 2, right? It's probably about cultural bias, resource 3, resource 4. So you can see these resources are very short. You can't expect just to go into the exam not having prepared the content and expect to be able to write an entire or answer all the questions based on the resources themselves. They're simply springboards. The purpose of the resource packet is to stop you pre-writing and memorizing essays. However, I encourage you to pre-write and memorize your answers to those 4 questions, and then just sprinkle in mentions to each of these resources as you go along. So let's have a look at the question paper. Right, your question paper looks like this. Okay, read it very carefully. Okay, and then now remember yours will be digital. So from your selected resource, identify a significant issue. Now, sometimes and actually the marking schedule requires you to describe the issue. So don't write just one sentence here, which that question sort of suggests you should do. You should fully describe and summarize the issue in its entirety. And in later videos, next videos, I will show you exactly the content to write about. This is all included in the textbook as well. Next question, how does this issue relate to psychological practice? So here's where we're talking about the studies and theories. Okay, you need to be able to draw on your knowledge of studies and theories. Question 3 will be about your opinions, right? So this year they asked about agreeing or disagreeing. So remember, these questions might change slightly, but the idea is the same. And then finally, how can you address it? Okay, so cool. You could maybe talk about theories or published studies in this last question. So hopefully that gives you an example, an idea of what to expect. You're going to get a resource booklet. You find the resource that relates to the issue that you've prepared for, and then you answer the 3 or 4 questions, all right, based on how they format the exam this year. In the next video, I'm going to explain my tips on how to study for this exam.